Hello, I'm Savannah, and welcome to Let's Get on Brand, where mission meets design, and we discuss how design can enhance your organization's impact. So today, I'm here with Ellie Fajardo, and we actually work together, so we see each other every day. It's great. And she's a social media manager, she's a content creator, an artist, a photographer, a mother, a pal. She's great. And I'm so happy to have her here today to just share a little bit about her wisdom, working with a global nonprofit, and also her personal endeavors. So, Miss Ellie, tell us a little bit about your journey, your creative journey, and just how you started and how you got here today.
So my creative endeavors, I want to say start around the age of 7, when I decided that what I wanted to be when I grew up was an actress.
Ooh.
That feels so out of left field. I feel like I've always kind of loved just creativity in general. You know, fast forward to when I'm like 13 years old, or not even, I was like 12. My sister had this classmate of hers that would post his photography on his Facebook page. And I used to always see it because my sister would always show that stuff to me, and he'd take photos of their classmates and all that stuff, and it was awesome. And I kind of fell in love with photography then on. And then I decided that's what I wanted to do. Once I started going to college, by then I had already taken like 2 film photography classes. My school was a magnet arts school as well, my high school. And by the time I got to college, I ended up getting a BFA, so Bachelor of Fine Arts. And my concentration was photography, but that's where I kind of dipped my toes into the other things, you know, things that I already enjoyed doing, but that I learned a little bit more about, you know.
I feel like no creative stays in their lane.
Yeah.
Like everybody's always like, oh, I love this one thing, but then you kind of branch out into like a lot of different things.
Because it also feeds your kind of creative flow. So that's something that I've always loved. You know, my last year of college, there was like these people that go to my church that they had this brand, and they needed someone to help run their social media. I have no idea how they thought of me. Or why.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, and I get paid to do this.
You said for money and exposure?
Yeah.
Say less.
It was cool that this was like a nice part-time job.
Yeah.
It was actually near my school, like a 15-minute drive. So I was like, I can do it because I can get out of class and go there, or the days I don't have class, I can go there. And then that's what I was doing. Hilariously enough, ended up falling in love with social media.
Nice.
Even though I studied nothing of it. But I enjoyed the graphic part. That's around the time that I found like a bunch of those creative apps, you know, like Unfold and Canva and Visco, and those were like my main ones. And I started kind of playing around there. And at the time I kind of self-taught digital photography because I was doing film photography in school. So I learned all about that in college, but did not take one digital photography course, although I maybe should have. But you know, I kind of taught myself Photoshop and Lightroom, the very basics of it.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure you applied all of that to like managing a social media account and like building a brand on there.
Yeah, I think I remember that that's how I probably got the job, because they needed someone to also take photos for them.
Gotcha.
So I ended up just doing a little bit of everything for them, and I kind of fell in love with the process as a whole. And then I graduated college.
I'm done.
I got my degree, I promise. And then from there, I was like, what the heck do I want to do? Yeah. I tried looking for photography jobs, and what I ended up doing was I landed a school photographer gig, which is, you know, I learned a lot about portrait photography there. And about the way you should light people and stuff like that.
Which, if you guys haven't seen, Ellie took my photos, my brand photos. So I'm slowly putting them out there because I'm trying to make them last forever. But she did an amazing job. So I will definitely be tagging her every time I post, so you can see the talent that's there.
Not to mention the fact that it was fun.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was super fun. Like I think you can tell in the pictures like how much fun I was having. So I'm sure the high school students that you were photographing, you made their day a little more special.
And I had to when we were doing senior photos because I had to get them to buy my photos.
Oh, facts.
So I'd get commission for that. And then from there, I landed a job as a production assistant in a marketing agency. Someone who believed in me. I don't know. I don't know what he liked about me. He was a photographer, and he had this partner who did the marketing side of it, and he did the creative photography side of it. And, you know, I was his assistant for a bit. Then I helped him produce some photo shoots. And then at some point they needed someone to help manage some of the social medias for their client. I essentially got taught everything I knew in that job by the person who ended up being my supervisor.
Yeah.
Very cool guy. And then by the time I left that job, I realized that I enjoyed the process of social media.
Yeah.
And that photography, I kind of realized that it was more like a hobby for me because I did not want to pick up my camera at all. So, and then I realized that, hey, like this social media thing is fun. By then I had already picked up so many tips and tricks and had helped out with social media at church. Yeah. Both in like the main church's social media, but also in our worship because we were starting to release music. So I kind of took over the mantle of that. And in that process, I learned so much. And that was like a full year. Like I had begun right before I left that marketing job. And then the rest of that time, like while I was applying to other jobs, I just sunk into social media at church. Yeah. And it became a passion. And I decided that that is, in fact, what I wanted to do.
Which is cool because like you get exposure in different ways. Like, and it depends on who you're working for. It's a different brand, right? So it's like your church, especially when they started selling music or sharing music, creating these albums, you have to promote that differently on social media. And I know that when we worked together, the biggest battle sometimes was like that fine line between promotion content and also just like sharing value. So now that you're working with like a global nonprofit, right? It's a totally different ballgame than like a local church, just a tad. So what has been some of the struggles with working with a global nonprofit?
I had to learn it all. And it took me like over a month to kind of get the grasp of everything. So I think it's also just understanding how everything works, but also bringing that and the vision and the values of like the place you're in. Yeah. Into a unique voice. And considering this was, you know, a media that also was kind of widely known in Latin America, and had quite the following by the time I like grabbed, like by the time it was put into my hands. It's just like learning its voice. Yeah. And making sure that every base of it was covered because they had done such a great job at like building so much of it. And then from there, it was figuring out how to continue to help it grow. Yeah.
Well, you did an amazing job because by the time I got into that company, they're like, yeah, Ellie's blown up our Instagram. I'm like, dang, and like all of the social platforms. So how did, once you found out how it worked, like, you know, who you were talking to, the audience, the brand, once you had a good grasp on that, how did you then switch gears and be like, okay, I'm going to like propel this and make it grow?
First things first, just pure divine intervention. Facts. Because, you know, I even have a little sticky note that's stuck to my monitor to this day. And it says, it's like a little prayer. Like, Father God, just send some creativity my way. You know, like, Holy Spirit, may you guide me. I feel like I get that imposter syndrome. Yeah. Side of it, like,
I feel like all creatives can relate to that, you know, like I feel like when you're creative for a living, it's a different feeling because you're like, okay, like at some point you're like, I'm running out of ideas. Like I'm struggling.
I'm running dry.
Yeah, you're like, I really don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah. So then that's like a little thing that like I sit down, I look at that and I'm like, Holy Spirit, fill me with your creativity. And that's how I kind of get going. But after that, I think that what I focused most on was just the fact that we work with a lot of well-known people in the Christian community, in the Latin Christian community. So I kind of wanted to take control or like take advantage of that. Yeah. And it's something that we discussed a lot with like our boss. You know, there's a lot that he and I discussed. Hey, like, wouldn't it be cool this and this? And then it's also, I mean, when you have a job in social media, you have to be on social media because you have to be aware of the way it's changing. Yeah. Constantly. And it changes constantly. Like the algorithms always pick up what they pick up, and then people also help that algorithm kind of run. So it's just like, hey, what's this trend and how can we service it for what we're doing?
Yeah.
And because it is very big name focused, that was probably my key to success there.
Yeah.
In terms of like kind of letting it explode or having it explode.
Yeah.
Is like, hey, we work with people with names, like let's collaborate.
Yeah.
And that's what we ended up doing. But we also did it, and at the time was when the content of value thing came on. I mean, I know that, at least on Instagram, this is what explodes and this is what tends to go viral and what tends to do well. It's that just, posts that people either can relate to or can learn something from it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just melding that, the learning aspect of it, plus, people that have some name recognition.
Yeah. And when we mentioned, like, so already walking in, it was this global organization was global. So it was already a well-known name. So the brand was established. But funny enough, when I got into this organization as well, the project we worked for, the brand had, it was recognizable. It had a logo, but really it didn't have like a working brand system. And so we both worked together a lot to say, okay, what is it that this brand is saying and what does it need to look like? And I feel like with the work of us both, we just like upped that professionalism of it. And because we were collaborating with such like large name brand, like Target, no, like large name individuals, right, from Latin America. Like these aren't just some random Joe. Like this is really big individuals. We couldn't present ourselves in a way that just didn't match that status. So tell me a little bit about that process of kind of bringing credibility to this global brand.
I do remember working with the previous graphic designer that he was good, but he had a lot of limitations in terms of branding and that kind of stuff. We did have a brand guide that he followed, but it was kind of in need of that pizzazz. And not just that, but a lot of the project assets, the brand assets were a bit funky, so that used to drive me nuts at the time. And then,
well, I mean, you're working with, this brand was 25 years old at the time, right?
Yeah. And these logos in this brand asset at this point was like 15 years old. Like that thing's old. Like I'm not saying that 15 years is old, but it's still a long time. And
with no refresh, no updating anything, no other assets that you could use, it definitely had its limitations.
Oh yeah. So I feel like once you came on board, especially seeing your background in branding, which was one of the things that caught my eye. I mean, I had no part in her being brought on, but our boss, he has a lot, like a very collective mindset. Like he likes to work with the minds that he has at his disposal, which is very smart of him. That's what makes him really good at managing people, because he makes it a very collaborative environment. So even in the hiring process, he's like, hey, we've dwindled down to this person, and one of them was you. And he's like, oh, this is what she's good at, and blah, blah, blah. He showed me your portfolio and everything. I was like, I love her. I was like, and he liked you the best too.
Thank you.
I mean, the language thing was like the one thing that had him kind of being like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, well, this is a side note, is that I was hired to this global organization for their Latin America office, which is all in Spanish, which that's not a language I speak. It's a language I understand, but it was definitely a barrier here that like our current boss overlooked to build this bigger brand, because of like the branding work that I've done and then being able to come in. I think right when I started this job, oh my gosh, I think I redid like 4 shows like right off the bat, but because that was like a need that they had.
Yeah, for sure. And I do, and that's what I loved, I think, at that point. And I think that's what also helped kind of push it forward.
Yeah.
Besides the work that that I was doing in terms of like the creation of content. It was also like the graphic side of it that needed a whole kind of overhaul, which again, we have a fantastic atmosphere of collaboration, and that's something that I feel like has a lot to do with the way we all ended up melding together as a team. I think our boss included that. We were like, hey, let's do this. And then we all kind of sat down, did these things. Ideas. All right, how do we
bring them together? Well, and I think that makes a big difference, especially on like a brand's social media. You can see that it's not just like a one-track mind, it's using the team. So like for those out there who have small teams and are trying to build their brand presence online, I mean, use the people around you. Like that collaborative aspect is really going to help, because we've had, oh my gosh, we've done so many fun things like on social media. I'm thinking of just the recent one. We did like a Gen Z office tour and it was hilarious. And it was like
super funny.
One of our more mature ladies did it, and she's saying things like bestie and whatever this is. Oh, she's like slay.
It's the Korean heart.
There you go.
The
slay.
You are Gen Z and you don't know what
I know, I forgot what she said.
That's crazy. She said slay.
Slay. But yes, so now you've worked with not only a church, which is a nonprofit, and you've worked with a global nonprofit that is still Christian in messaging. But what has been maybe the biggest tension in representing a brand on social media?
All right. So in terms of the project we were previously working on, because it had a lot to do with media, it's striking the balance between promotion and, content that resonates.
Yeah.
Because promotional content, unfortunately, doesn't resonate. But if you can somehow bring together the promotion with useful information, it'll get people interested in what you're doing.
Yeah. And that's really what you've done. Like I saw that as well. Like you came in, used the voices that the organization had in a way that promoted but gave value as well.
Yeah.
And so if you could give some advice to these nonprofits and different organizations that are trying to build their brand on social media, what's like a piece of advice you'd give them?
Something that resonates a lot, and you probably hear this all the time. Anyone who can give like advice on social media growth, it's just having authenticity.
Yeah.
Like people don't buy fakeness, and if they do, they for escapism, but in a nonprofit or even like a Christian organization, like a lot of things can either come off very cheesy or inauthentic. And just find true, authentic voices. You're not even seeking to just entertain either. So it's kind of striking that balance. Like, hey, you do have something. And if you exist, your organization exists, there's a purpose behind it. Like, there is a God-given purpose behind it. And it's just like, hey, find the place where you meet your calling plus authenticity plus something genuine that you can offer.
Yeah.
And that, I feel like that is the key to social media growth.
Honestly, that balance is needed everywhere within your brand too, right? So it's like when you present yourself on social media, having that balance between who you are and what you want to share, like your message and your visuals, like they have to play together. Because if what you're saying isn't lining up with like what your brand mission is, then people are going to be confused. Just like if you're on there promoting something like in a way that's just not authentic, like people pick up on that. And just like that, people are going to be confused if your brand isn't consistent with what you're saying and the things you're putting out there. And plus, whatever you put out on social media is a representation of your brand. So what are you representing? I think I always tell clients, I'm like, you can put your personal stuff on social media, but it has to align with your brand. It has to. Like, if you're going to buy a new pet bunny, like, it has to make sense for what the heck your brand does, right? Maybe you're, like, a bunny sanctuary. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, but whatever, right?
Yeah.
So all these things, like, they all align. So in your experience, what value has design specifically brought to the organization you work with and your personal endeavors?
I feel like a sense of identity. I mean, It's funny because that should be like a given or a self-explanatory, but I feel like what many people who have no clue about design even don't and try to do it themselves don't even what they don't think about is that it brings identity. Like good brands or like good branding is recognizable.
Yeah.
You know?
No, mic drop, write that in there, girl.
So I feel like if you're going to hire like a graphic designer, or if you have a graphic designer in-house, or if you are a graphic designer, definitely find, first of all, like bring that little piece of you, that authenticity that's also informed by your experiences. Because I would assume that your experiences are the reason why you're even beginning this organization in the first place. That's usually how most nonprofits go. It's like, oh, in my experience, so this is what I want to bring to the world.
Yeah.
So it's just that little piece of you mixed with something that is recognizable. And it's intentional. Because all of that is what makes good branding, makes your branding unique to you.
Absolutely. And I think you've seen part of my process now as working together so closely, and I've been privileged enough to like rebrand multiple shows and different things, and we've just worked together all the time. So you know me, but but a part of that is, like you said, it's like we're building an identity for this, right? So it's not just like, this is pretty, and like, I mean, we want it to look good, obviously, but it's more than looking good. It's about building that brand identity. And then on that flip side is like, okay, is this recognizable? Is this going to be able to be seen everywhere and be like, yeah, that's this brand, that's this. And like, oh, even if it's just like a poster, how is that tone coming across, right? So just being able to be recognized on all touch points is like super important. So I think that there's so much more that we could definitely dive into. We'll have to do a part 2. But I just want to thank you so much for coming here and just sharing your wisdom. And honestly, it's a privilege to yap with you after hours.
Agreed. It's a privilege for me as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. But if you want to keep up with Ellie, she is on social media, I would hope. And so you could follow her just personal blog at EllieMF. You could follow her. She has some inspiration. So if you're in for just some inspirational graphic design kind of vibes here, it's _known unseen. And then if you want to see her photography, which I may make an appearance on there, but if you want to see her photography page, you can go at Ellie Fajardo Photo.
It's E Fajardo Photo.
E Fajardo Photo. I wasn't going to remember them all.
It's okay.
But if you want to follow her, just support her work. If you have any tips or questions or anything that you want to know about social media or design, you can reach out to both of us. And we're happy to help. And I hope you've learned something today about building your brand presence on social media, building your brand presence just in visuals. And if you like more of this content, feel free to comment, email, whatever your heart desires. But this is Let's Get on Brand, where mission meets design.
Yay.
Woo! Thanks, Miss Ellie.
Thank you.
Shake it out, shake it out.